Hello there, everyone. I'm here again on the Friday, May the 24th, to remind one and all that tomorrow, Saturday, May 25th, worldwide, is the March Against Monsanto. And there's a lot of important issues out there to protest against, but when it comes down to it, probably food is more important than just about anything. You are what you eat, right? So we have talked about Monsanto so many times in our podcast. There's such an evilness at work in that corporation. It is truly the most evil corporation ever. Right? PCBs, Agent Orange, GMOs, I mean, you name it, this corporation has done it, and everyone in the world at some point is going to be ingesting GMOs. And there's a way that they do it. They have their people, like this guy, Michael R. Taylor, who you can see in a number of videos. 1976, he was staff attorney for the FDA. All right. Food and Drug Administration. 1981, serving as a lawyer for Monsanto. 1991, he's deputy commissioner of the FDA. 1994, 1996, he's the administrator for the USDA, U.S. Department of Drugs. And then 1996 to year 2000, he was vice president for public policy of Monsanto. 2009, senior advisor to the FDA commissioner. 2010 to 2013, deputy commissioner for foods in the FDA. And he's just one example of how these guys seamlessly move from government to corporation to government to corporation, because the reality is it's all one. The corporations are the government. And there's no better example in the world than Monsanto. There really is no better example. And tragically, not enough people are aware of what Monsanto is doing, what it's capable of doing. So we have to, us bloggers out there on the internet, have to constantly remind people that, you know, there's nothing more important really than your food and water. What you subsist off of, that is the most important thing, period, right? Maybe the air that we breathe could only be more important, right? And we'll talk about chemtrails some other day. The March Against Monsanto. So here's the natural news. Why, asking why should I do this? So we'll look at some of the points that they put up here. 1, Monsanto has created a food that has been touted as virtually resistant to enormous amounts of herbicides and pesticides sprayed on it like Agent Orange. Come on, do you really want to eat that? Number 2, Monsanto has their hand in the chemtrails because they want to see what effect the arsenic, mercury, barium, strontium, aluminum, and others have on their crops. So, wasn't going to mention chemtrails in this, but obviously it comes into play as well. They like it very much. If it does have an adverse effect on their crops, rest assured they will come up with a strong resistant to be sprayed on their crops. Do you really want to eat that? Oh yeah, they could care less about how chemtrails affect the commercial and organic crops. If it kills them, all the better for Monsanto. Number 3, after Monsanto's alleged victory in California regarding Proposition 7 and the defeat of California labeling GMOs, Pandora's box got wide open and the shit hit the fan. States started to initiate labeling laws to such a degree that Monsanto is now petitioning their hookers in in the House of Representatives and the Senate in Washington, D.C., the District of Deception and Corruption, to add a rider to the Farm Bill to prohibit individual states from passing labeling laws. If Monsanto food is so good, why do they go to such lengths to make you do nothing and not know about what you're eating? It's quite simple, because their food is absolutely awful and nobody should be consuming it. It is making animals sick and die. We've gone into this so many times. There's lots of them. You can watch some of our videos. I'll try to put some links below for other things. Please, if you haven't watched it already, tonight would be a good time. The World According to Monsanto. Excellent documentary film. And Europe is all up to date on what's going on. So that film is from Europe, and they banned Monsanto products and GMOs. When Obama first campaigned in 2008, he promised he would push for GMO labeling. Why then, when he got elected, did he appoint Monsanto people to key government positions and help develop amnesia to his promise? Because he's a fucking psychopath. That's all I can say. Because he breaks every single promise that he ever made, that he's a lying son of a bitch. And then they give you a whole list of names. Michael A. Friedman, acting commissioner of the FDA, was the VP of clinical affairs at the G.D. Searle pharmaceutical company, which merged with Monsanto. Yes, we covered that. Arthur Hull Hayes, a former FDA commissioner and consultant to Searle's public relations firms. Margaret Miller, appointed deputy director of the FDA in 1991, went too many nines there, was a top Monsanto scientist who saw the approval of RBGH. That's the bovine growth hormone that you're drinking in your milk and all your cheese products and all your milk products. It's there, trust me, unless you're in Europe. Susan Setchen, an FDA reviewer on scientific data, worked on the RBGH hormone in connection with Cornell University. Michael Taylor, who I mentioned before. You know, Clarence Thomas, who helped bring in our good old favorite George W. Bush, appointed to the Supreme Court in 1999 or 1991, was a former Monsanto attorney. And Venman, appointed head of the USDA in 2021. They've got too many numbers in some of these things, but served on the board of directors of Colgate, a Monsanto biotech subsidiary. Dr. Virginia Weldon, who is a member of the FDA's Metabolism and Endocrine Advisory Committee, is a retired VP for public policy at Monsanto. Linda Fisher, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Hillary Clinton, right? Our Secretary of State, who washed her hands of the Benghazi killing of U.S. ambassador. Of course, we covered that as well. Worked for the Rose Law Firm, who did work for Monsanto. Senator Barbara Boxer, another well-known person, who introduced an amendment to the 2013 Farm Bill that would support GMO labeling. Well, okay, that's a good example. I thought it was strange that her name was there, but there are a lot of people that are working to expose this. The events for this march against Monsanto are all over the world. From Africa to Asia to Australia to Europe to New Zealand, South America, North America, all over the United States. Great job, USA. We need you to stand up and be strong with this. I will be covering this live. I will be at the event in Montreal, Dorchester Square. Right? That's at 2 o'clock, rain or shine. It's probably going to be raining, but that won't stop us. We need to talk about this for a second here, because this just came through right today. On the eve of March against Monsanto, Senate shoots down GMO labeling bill. How fucking wonderful of them. Because why should people know what they're doing to our food? I mean, Why do we need to know that, right? We're only feeding it to our kids. We're only fucking dying from it, living off it. This is just awful stuff. It goes to show you how you cannot trust these people. Bernie Sanders is one of them that you can trust because he has been a pit bull against Monsanto. He has been working very hard to expose them. So let's read a little bit about this article here. As 200,000 people prepare to march against Monsanto, I'm sure it's going to be a lot more than that, the Senate has overwhelmingly rejected a bill that would allow states to decide if genetically modified food products should be labeled. The amendment shot down by the Senate would have allowed states to make their own decisions on whether or not GMO foods would be labeled without mandating any action. Supporters originally believed that this measure was non-controversial and simply gave states an option. But the states voted 71 to 27 against it on Thursday, days before Saturday's march against Monsanto. And here Bernie Santo tries to give him a dose of reality here. The concept that we're talking about today is a fairly common sense and non-radical idea. The bill's sponsor told Huffington Post before the vote. All over the world and the European Union and many other countries around the world, dozens and dozens of countries, people are able to look at the food that they are buying and determine whether, through labeling, whether or not the product contains genetically modified organisms. Poor Bernie, I agree. This is so frustrating. It's a no-brainer if you cared about humanity. If you cared anything about children or humanity, you would want GMOs to be labeled. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But if you're a psychopath or you're getting paid under the table, you have been conditioned or whatever, basically you're an evil person. You're going to vote against this. So 71 of those senators, I'm sure people are taking down those names, and we should never forget who those people are. Sanders explained that the Food and Drug Administration requires more than 3,000 ingredients to be labeled on food products, but that GMOs are not on that list. Can you fucking believe that? But opponents of this measure argue that GMO should not be labeled since the FDA has not made scientific conclusions that would require it. Of course, because the FDA is run by Monsanto employees. Okay? How hard is that to understand? Fuck. Senator Debbie Stabenow, chair of Agriculture Committee, said that the amendment was shot down. The amendment that was shot down was not relevant to the Farm Bill. She also emphasized the importance of Monsanto in providing foods at lower prices that help people around the world. An argument often made by supporters of the biotech giant, which is an outright fucking lie. This makes me angry when I see this stuff. These people should go to prison for their complicity in this kind of shit. Here's a quote here. Let's take a look at it. I believe it's by this same bitch, Senator Debbie Stabenow. She might as well be stabbing us all in the stomach, because that's where it's going to hit us, and it's going to affect our brains and kidneys and everything else, and God knows what else it's going to cause. Here's her quote. I believe we must rely on the FDA's science-based examination before we make conclusions about food ingredients derived from genetically modified foods, she said. They currently do not require special labeling because they've determined that the food content of these ingredients does not materially differ from conventional counterparts. It absolutely 100% does, and not only does a little bit, it's dramatic. The difference, there we go. Okay, take a good look at this. A 2001 Nutritional Analysis comparison of GMO corn versus non-GMO corn. Here's the energy available. GMO corn, 100. In non-GMO corn, 340,000. Right? And it goes on. Each calcium, look at the difference in calcium. Hi there again. I had to cut off there for a second because of a phone call. So I was just discussing how the nutrients of non-GMO corn are infinitely more than the GMO corn. So these are the truths that they hide from you all the time. Of course, the awful things here, the chemicals and chlorides and all that, are much higher. They're non-existent. GMO food is not real food. It's food that's been manipulated for profit. And there's no better example of evil corporations than Monsanto themselves. They are the most evil corporation. We had a podcast which everyone should check out if they got time, called Monsanto, the most evil corporation ever, I think. And it really was. I mean, as I said, PCBs, Agent Orange, all these horrible chemicals that this monster corporation has inflicted upon humanity. Everybody's got PCBs in them. Every single person on the planet. Before Monsanto, no PCBs existed. They created it. And their GMO stuff is really the worst of it all, because it's hidden so well. It's in so many different foods. I have another video that I did on the Monsanto corporations, which really showed. I worked hard to show the labels which they use, so maliciously or so secret. The way that they do it, the way that they sell their products, and they make you think, well, you're getting something nutritious, but you're not, because you're getting GMO'd stuff, which there's so much evidence to suggest that it is outright awful for human beings. If it's awful for rats and they're getting all kinds of tumors and stuff, you can just put a GMO rats into a Google search, and you will see how here's a good one here, how the GMO rats develop all these tumors, how their organs and kidneys become, here's a regular kidney, and then there's the GMO kidneys. They're mutating these creatures, these poor things. This is for real. GMO rat versus a normal fed rat. Look at the size difference. Testicle of a normal rat versus a GMO fed rat. There's so many examples of this. A lot of this testing has happened in Europe, where they haven't been completely overrun by this evil corporation. Right? This is your brain. There's a healthy, active rat playing the saxophone, something you don't see every day. This is your brain on GMO. He'd have a hard time playing a saxophone with those tumors. That's what they're doing to people. They are poisoning us with this food. Look at this one. I mean, just look at that. That's what they're doing to you. I mean, you don't know it yet. Look at that. It looks like it's got an ear in him. So crazy. It is so crazy. There's so many examples. It looks like real food, although here, look at this corn stalk and how mutated it is. And that's what they were telling the farmers in Mexico, the Mexican farmers who subsisted entirely off corn, and all the beautiful corn that they have in places like Mexico, hundreds of different types of corn, all different colors, and then you get the GMO corn, and the differences are just unbelievable. Here's the a size difference. Of course, the organic corn gets eaten really quickly by the birds who know best. There's just so much evidence out there. When you see the differences, what happens to the corn, and we're only used to like this type of corn. This is the only type of corn that we see. There are hundreds of different types of corn, and with Monsanto, they are really trying to make it one corn to rule them all. They want this type of corn on your children's dinner plates, and they use like one of the things I was going to mention was how the Mexican farmers are able to differentiate the invasive species. Here's an example of GMO-free corn, all different colors, you know, that become staple. I mean, they make tortillas from them. It's really, it's such a huge part of their diet, and you know, and yet these invasive Monsanto crops are blowing in, and they are like an invading species. They'll take over. They're genetically done to take over. You know, that's just crazy. And they are making Frankenfish and Franken. I mean, they're experimenting with all this stuff. I believe this is an example of GMO'd fish here compared to normal fish. Frankenfish, you can Google that. It's just awful stuff. You know, it's not real food. It's scary food. It looks real. It tastes real. But it's a horror show. You know, there are thousands of farmers in places like India that have committed suicide because their crops have been overtaken by GMO seeds, and then they can get sued. So if GMO seeds are blown in the wind and land in somebody's farm, and then they take over the farm, then they can come after the farmer and sue them for, you know, not paying Monsanto for using their product. It's absolutely madness. It's so crazy. They know what they're doing, and really, it's the most evil corporation in the world. It really, really is. So quickly here, I will show you top 10 reasons to join the March Against Monsanto from InfoWars. Number 1, there will be tons of coverage, so your voice will be heard. Absolutely, bring your drums, bring your whistles and bells and everything else, and get the message out there. Send a powerful message to Monsanto that their corporate evil will not be tolerated by the people of the world. We are the people. They aren't the people. They are the monster corporations that are trying to poison the people, trying to make the people stupid, and trying to feed the people the type of fake food that they would never touch. I'm talking about the CEOs and government, top government officials and FDA people that know what this stuff is. They know. Trust me, they know. And that's what makes it so evil. Learn more about GMOs and why they are so dangerous for life on our planet. Yes, by attending this, you'll find all kinds of things that you didn't know. People will have diagrams and charts. There'll be speeches. There'll be hopefully some enlightened professors and scientists giving information, very valuable information that I will try to put up on future podcasts. Listen to great speakers who share a message of inspiration and solidarity. Meet and interact with like-minded people. Always, you can meet a ton of people and make friends that for life at these kind of things. So definitely another reason. Send a message to food retailers that they should drop GMOs. This probably one of the most important things is that if these corporations understand that people will not tolerate GMO food, then they will quickly, you know, adhere to the demands of the consumers, because the consumer sets the market. If the consumer isn't going to buy the GMOs, then the corporations that or the food retailers that are providing these GMOs are going to look quickly to offer a product instead that people will buy. At a minimum, we want mandatory GMO labeling across the board, without a doubt, 100%. It's unbelievable that we live in a world where we can't inform people that their food has been genetically modified. How crazy is that? It's beyond crazy. It doesn't make sense. It's a dystopia. Get some outdoor exercises while joining a noble cause. Yes, you're going to be outside, and you know, marching, walking on your own 2 feet, and making a difference in your world. Raise your spiritual karma by standing up for universal justice. Well, I think a lot of these could be kind of looped together. Show off your cool protest sign. Well, you know, just show up. You don't even have to bring a protest sign. Just be there. Be a person. Be out there singing and chanting and talking, and just physically being there means that your presence is going to be noticed. There's going to be media there. They're gonna judge the importance of these types of events by how many people show up at the local one. Be part of a grassroots, non-hierarchical, non-centralized global protest. Yes, absolutely. Let's, you know, this is an opportunity for us to band together and to show these corporations that we will not stand for their aggression. We will not stand for their aggression. You know, we will not stand for their modified, genetically modified products, their GMO'd corn sugar that they put in fucking everything. We're not going to stand with it. We're not going to take it anymore. Let's make this be the Monsanto march that will end all Monsanto marches. Let's make this the year that Monsanto is truly exposed across the world, and that everyone starts to wake up, and that Monsanto is destroyed, because Monsanto is the most evil corporation in the world. And if you don't believe me, watch our video where we break it down, and just to show you what they have done to thousands, hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese with their product called Agent Orange. We showed this in the video. There are over 500,000 people and there are thousands of U.S. veterans that have I mean, imagine the lives of these poor human beings. I mean, just look at that. Imagine. And many of them never did live. You know, that's what this corporation has done to human beings. This is the worst corporation that has ever existed. It is so fucking evil. And it doesn't deserve to exist. It deserves to die. It deserves to die a quick, violent death. Of course, I don't advocate any violence against anyone. But Monsanto is the most evil corporation. And that is why you must try to get out there and support it. Please do if you can. Please do, because they're going to kill us with this food. They're killing you slowly already. And when 5-10 years from now, when people start getting the tumors that these rats are getting, there's going to be hell to pay. Well, we tried to warn you, and it's up to you now to go out and make the difference. So, this is Jeff C. saying goodbye, and I hope that you can all try to take part in this march, which is one of the most important protests in the history of mankind. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.